Okay, I'll do an intro. Thank you for getting started. This is Alan Paulin, one of my favorite people in the people and culture space from Flint, doing great things in the performance management and all things just performance related space. That being said, I'm really excited to chat with you today. And you're my first interviewee, so I'm really excited to have you on here. I know it's going to be awesome. Honored. So yeah, and really what this section is Vibemakers, and it's talking to culture activators like yourself. They're leaders in the space who are doing things to really kind of paradigm shift what we think about people experience and culture. So thank you.
Amazing. Well, thanks for having me, Marnie. I'm super excited to be here, and the first is amazing too, and hopefully everyone listening can get something out of this little section.
Awesome. Well, so just to get us kicked off, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're up to.
Yeah, so I'm a software engineer by trade, and that probably puts me in a slightly different boat than most people here, but it's been more than 20 years. I started Flint about 1.5 years ago, and we've got 5 of us working on trying to build up a platform to help people do continuous performance management and really look at some of the problems that are facing companies that are doing kind of like annual process that tends to be, I don't know, the bane of people's existence. I'm still looking for people who absolutely love the process the way it's running right now. If you know of any, let me know. I actually would love to talk with them, but most people have something to say where they would love to see improvements in how things are generally done, whether it's at companies of 20 people all the way up to 20,000 or 200,000 people. So like some of these principles are pretty universal, and yeah, we're kind of taking a new approach, not necessarily anchoring ourselves to traditional ways, and hoping to build systems that save people time and help them gather feedback and coach each other in more ongoing ways that create alignment up and down the chain.
Love that. And I think that's why I was one of the big, early subscribers to what you were doing with Flint. We had the conversation about, you were really in exploratory mode about, pain points and from people who have been in that head of people role. And I think that's why I was super excited to get on board in the Flint partnership program.
Yeah. I mean, it's been fantastic because, listening to folks like yourself, amazing ideas, and I've loved the perspective, and, that's part of how we've grown the product and the company is hearing people's pain points.
That's awesome. And you come from a really strong technical leadership role and in background. So what was it that ignited your passion for culture?
Yeah, well, so I was very lucky. I spent 9 years working at Cash App, basically when it went from less than 10 people all the way through over 1,000, and kind of saw that growth. And during that time, got to be involved as an individual contributor, then as a manager, and also looking at a lot of the people process that we were doing. Everything from how did the career ladder that we were using, and got to both help build it and then evolve it over a 4 or 5 year period, as well as a promotion process. What makes for a good process that helps people continue to develop their own careers while they're meeting the objectives of the business, and have that kind of dual purpose in how things are going. And then I was really fortunate. I think it was around 2018. We had about 6 new managers starting at the time, and I helped put together a set of we called them sessions, because I didn't want to call them training, because they were peer led and just very much there to help experienced managers pass off some wisdom to new managers. And that it went well. And so the next year we did it again for 20 new managers, and then the year after I kind of took a slightly more of a backseat role, but really helped facilitate the whole thing. And we honestly had 100 managers in that. And so like that, I really grew a passion for how do you help bring together these two objectives of the business meeting its goals while individuals can grow, and at the same time finding all those different career trajectories and letting people succeed.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's super impactful. I love that.
Hey, this is William Tincup, and you should know about the You Should Know podcast. It's a topical, fun podcast with Ryan, myself, and a guest, or guests plural sometimes, and we tackle the most timely topics of the day. Give it a look, give it a listen, and subscribe. Thanks.
Next question. Can you share a time where you've actually seen a culture shift the way a company does business?
I mean, there's a really interesting example, and I'll use my a time when I basically started a startup within a bigger company, and so this was somewhat of a way to allow a new culture to be formed, independent a little bit of the parent company's culture. And so when we started the Cash App team, we were shielded a little bit, able to grow independent of anything else. And within that, we purposely chose a kind of a culture, kind of bottoms up, where one of the biggest things was everyone was collaborative, and like helping each other and unblocking each other was kind of a top priority for everyone. There was even, amongst the engineering teams, it was almost like a badge of honor if you could review somebody's code before the automated tests finished running, right? And therefore that would unblock them, and away they go. And it created different behaviors. When people were unblocking each other fast, then that changed how you could work. And before you knew it, that was the whole culture within the team, is that people knew they could move fast because their teammates had their backs, and you could, also jump into a conversation with someone and pull them away from what they were doing to get 5 minutes of their time to say, like, hey, give me some advice on this particular thing I'm approaching. And before you know it, your collective wisdom probably provides a better foundation, and you go off and do your stuff, and away you go. And at the end, it's a great way to both build cohesion in the team, but also a culture that, like, was completely independent of the rest of the company. And still to this day, I believe, continues to have its own culture and continues to be a great culture.
That's fabulous. And there's something so powerful about having these subcultures, and these subcultures that create this, more unified, smaller special ops type team is awesome.
What's really neat there is we recognized that the team was geographically distributed. At the time, it wasn't like a work from home or remote, but there was an office in San Francisco or New York, and where I am in Waterloo, Canada, and then one grew up in Melbourne, Australia. And every office had their own culture. And the goal wasn't to completely assimilate all of those into one mega culture. There were aspects of the overall culture that permeated through each location, and then each location had its own subculture. And that was really good. That wasn't something we tried to avoid or change. It was something that was very natural, and you kind of run with it and use that to help make the culture even stronger.
Brilliant. Yes, absolutely. It all flows into one diverse culture that's powerful. Yeah. What's one change you'd like to see in workplace cultures over the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest thing is around how we think about whether it's performance management in terms of a continuous process. I love this idea that people are giving each other feedback all the time. And it's something that I don't think exists in every culture right now. And a lot of that is because of the way traditional performance management works, where there's, maybe an annual cycle with peer or self or manager feedback. And while I think there's a place for those, there's a world where we can take some of the energy and time that is currently going into them and use that on a much more ongoing basis to really help, whether it's give feedback every one-on-one, which might be every week or two, might create an environment where, if you think about people's growth as like compound interest, the more compounding cycles you can get, the faster they're ultimately going to grow. And so being able to create that, I think, is something that would be super magical, and also where the industry wants to go. If I've learned something from listening to the thousands of people I've talked with in the last year and a half, it's that building that kind of culture is both hard, but something that is very necessary, and that's where I'd love to see the industry move.
But yeah, here, and you said super magical, making performance, like the flywheel type effect, come to life, and I totally agree. we're going to shift gears to the rapid fire questions. They're not that rapid, but it's just for fun and see what you got. Okay. So what's your go-to productivity hack?
Ooh, productivity hack. I overuse my calendar for everything. So I will schedule myself for tasks in my calendar where it's like, spend time going through dashboards or spend time following up on leads. And give myself individual meetings for it. And that's where I kind of organize my life.
Yeah. If the calendar doesn't tell me to do something, I'm not doing it. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So what's one book that changed your perspective on work?
Ooh. Okay, I'll go back. I read Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. I read it back in, I think, mid 2010, so like 2015, 16. And it was right around the time I was becoming a manager again, because I kind of fluctuated back and forth depending on which company. And I just love the book. I love the idea that it helps teach that you have to elevate people around you. And the best leaders out there are ones who are more like talent magnets and are able to create success for others, and that ends up creating success for themselves. You don't need to take the success. You'll naturally, by making the pie bigger, it's the best way to overall create the biggest piece of the pie for everybody.
That's awesome. Okay. And if your company culture, I'm throwing a curveball. If your company culture was a theme park ride, what would it be called, and what would the experience be like?
Ooh, okay. I love the curveball reference because I'm a baseball guy. So maybe we can use another example around baseball where we think of something like maybe it's the triple play, and the essence being that there's a lot happening and things happen quickly. In order to make a triple play, a lot of stuff has to come together nicely, and you can try for a while and not always nail it, but when people are working together, you need every player to make that a success. And so it's great when it happens. You celebrate those moments. So there's kind of an aspect of celebration that comes in when you turn a triple play, and it's something that requires pure teamwork. And I think all of those aspects would be something that I would go for in my amusement park culture.
I love that. Yes, that's awesome. Okay, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to keep figuring out ways to work together. I find I get energy from the people I get to work with. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this comes out, and thanks for doing this kind of on the fly. I really like that you get a little bit of a sneak peek, but I'm not like reading from an answer or something like that. Like, this is so much more. It's going to be more vibrant if I can use a vibe word in that.
Absolutely, and